What's going on? Live and Iraq on the air. Live and Iraq on the air. You already know the brand. Freedom is a must. Freedom is definitely a must. What's going on, people? What's going on, family? Hoping and praying everybody's well, everybody's safe, everybody's healthy. So, the old timers that know from back in the days when HDM was open, they remember it was Captain Bailey and Captain Grant and Deb Rosado. If y'all remember, every time Caballo came down, Julio, from the Trinitarios, when he used to come down to C95 for court, Deb Rosado used to get him draft packed up to go into HDM because he was cool with him and shit like that. It was, Deb Rosado was Dominican, HDM. But we had Captain Bailey, Captain Grant, who later down the years, man, after Bailey got out of being a captain, became a Deb. Later on, Captain Bailey became in charge of the ESU for around the whole Rikers Island, emergency police that come in when there's riots and all that shit, like the Orange Crush that we got up north. And he became Deb there for that. And then later on in the years, I seen Captain Grant. Wasn't Captain Grant no more. He was in Brooklyn House. When I went to Brooklyn House, he was a Deb in Brooklyn House. So as we know, most of the people's, man, not everybody been in prison, man. Not everybody know what prison is upstate Rikers Island because they ain't been there. They either here for somebody, have a family member that was up in there, or they watching these fucking movies that half of them is bogus. What they show on the TV, this fiction stuff. So when I tell people that's never been in this situation, I say, yeah, listen, I got caught up, and when I went to the Bing, I was able to get bailed out, but still remain in jail. They was like, what the fuck? You mean that you got bailed out, but you never left the jail and you stood in the jail? How does that go? So for those that know, anybody who get caught up with a misbehavior report in any building in Rikers Island, depending, the time that you got or whatever, they usually sent you out in those times to HDM, to the Bing. And while you in the Bing, if you a dude like that know people's that's there or throughout Rikers Island, you got your connections, you know what I'm saying? And everybody most likely do because, wherever your borough you came from or whatever, gang you repped or organization or whatever it may be, you always got somebody somewhere that that you were able to, reach out to them and shit. So when we hit the Bing, we was able to reach out to the peoples on the outside in HDM. I'm not talking about outside in the society. When we hit the Bing in HDM, we were able to send kites out to the brothers in population up in HDM. And Captain Bailey had a system, man, that you go to him, your peoples go to him, they give up a bullet, handcuff key, razor, a gun, whatever, and you able to get bailed out the Bing. Now, motherfuckers sit back, man, and say, damn. And these are the dudes that never been in prison that talk like they're like, damn, man, like a captain, a correctional officer that's a captain in the correctional building, allowed another dude from population to give him a gun, a razor, a key, handcuff key, and shit like that to bail somebody out the Bing to bring him back in population. What kind of fucking system is this shit, man? But for the ones that know, Captain Bailey had his way of doing things and calm things down and make things right. And not only that, but keep these handcuff keys out of people's hands, these razors and these guns out of people's hands and shit, Because back then, niggas just getting off the handcuffs and the bust or whatever out the chains, and they were just busting somebody in the face with the razor and all that. You know what I'm saying? Going to court, coming back from court. You know what I'm saying? I remember, matter of fact, I was in a bus with Hitman from Bed-Stuy and shit over there by Sumner Projects. And we was in a bus coming back from court, and he was in the back and shit. There was somebody in the front that just had got in the bus, man. We picked somebody up in the courthouse somewhere, got in the bus, and it was a dude that he had drama with. And the dude ain't see him, and he kept quiet until we got into Rikers Island over the bridge. When we got over the bridge, he managed to get out of his handcuffs and go to the front and tear this nigga ass up with the razor. The bus, scared to death, called it in. Captain Bailey had the bus go into the depot where they park all the correctional buses at and stuff like that, and they put their guns or whatever like that before they get into the housing C-95, C-74, where we're building. They're going to drop the prisoners off, and we was sent over there, and all came. We was taking out the bus, stripped up, there for hours over this situation and shit. And Hitman, if you seen this, I know you probably still up north doing mad time, man, and shit. My boy Hitman from Sumner, Myrtle Avenue in Sumner, over there, Sumner Projects and shit. And yeah, so Captain Beatty did this to keep, these things, off of, off the population and stuff like that. And when this situation happened right here with Hitman, this is already when Captain Bailey was already been out. He was in charge of that ESU unit. You know what I'm saying? But rewinding back, I'm trying to tell you how Captain Bailey was doing what he's doing in HDM to prevent this to happen in the future, what happened with Hitman in the bus. You see what I'm saying? And so that's the reason why shit was done, man. But we was able to bail each other out, send a kite out, population, and we was able to send our people to give Captain Bailey, meet up with Captain Bailey, give him whatever we had, a gun, key, or whatever, in order to bail dudes out, man. And brothers that see this, they gonna know. When brothers that go back into the 90s when HDM was open, they know how that was, man. We was actually, whatever time you was doing in the Bing, and depending what you was giving up to bail your peoples out the Bing, you know what I'm saying, you was coming out regardless, man, you know what I'm saying, because they wanted these things, out of the facility, and they wanted to keep things safe. And a lot of dudes, Captain Beatty did a lot of shit. Captain Beatty was the one that every time he heard ruckus in the blocks, he came to the block and snatched all the phones up, because the phones were free back then with the wires. You could click them off and all that. And he was the one that started this system with this bullshit where we had to pay and all this for these phones, man, because every time there was a problem in the blocks, he knew it was over the fucking phone. So he went over there, took the phones off the hooks, and motherfucker took the phones, shut it down, and all that shit. Here, years later, we came up with this shit where in Rikers Island we had to pay for this phones, this 15 minutes, 16 minutes, every couple of hours and shit in the system, man. But this is facts. Brothers was getting bailed out from jail to stay in jail, and it's straight facts. I'm talking facts, man. Brothers that know, comment on this here. Let me know if you was there at that time, what block you was in. You know what I'm saying? We might have bumped heads up in there. And that's how it was, man. Y'all already know, man. Freedom is a must. Peace.